So when you were a kid, I mean, what is it that you were thinking? What were you going to do when you got older?
I mean, I initially wanted to be an attorney, and then I realized I did not like school. And so I kind of struggled trying to figure out what I wanted to do because, the attorney thing of negotiating, being able to go in a courtroom and present a case, and, that was stuff that really, that was stuff that intrigued me. And debate and things like that was stuff that, it seemed like fun. The problem was I looked at that and I looked at what was required in that, which was the amount of school and college and taking an LSAT and going to law school. And it just, it seemed like too much for me because those weren't things that I really wanted to do. So honestly, I was trying to figure it out, and I landed on becoming a firefighter because I had a good friend of mine that was a firefighter. And, firemen are respected, and firemen are, it's a good career. It's every high school boy's dream career. And so, I said, well, I could go to medic school and work on an ambulance and do these things. That's not going to require a lot of time. And found UCLA had a 3-week program. I said 3 weeks I could commit to. And I went that route. And that's what I thought I was going to do forever. And then, things change. But initially that was the goal. And, it was a good learning experience. But, thankfully, I say now, thankfully, that God's plan was different than that. And, that didn't last very long. If you look backwards at where your life is, it's so funny that you don't see how everything's part of the story, The good things and the bad things are all part of the story. In business, for example, I always say, every single person who's ever quit, every client who's ever canceled, it's still all part of the story. And it still all happens for a reason. And so it's just funny to look at it and then to go, if this hadn't happened, we wouldn't be here. If this hadn't happened, we wouldn't be here. And I bet you every single person who's listening to this can do the same thing with so many pieces of their life where they go, man, how the heck did we get to this place?
Exactly.
So.
But everything still has its part. It didn't seem to be the plan that you were supposed to be in the fire department for any length of time. And yet it still was an important part of who you are today. Would you agree?
Right. Well, the reason it is because two things. Number one, going to UCLA, going through medic school and all that stuff, really showed me what I didn't want, and I think that was one of the biggest things is I realized that's not something I want to do forever. I looked at my captain and I said, if I stay here for 20 or 30 years, that's my future. That's going to be me. And I looked at my captain and I looked at their lifestyle, and I looked at how much time they spent at work and how good of shape they were in and how healthy they were and their family. And I just said, man, that's just not what I want. But at the time I didn't have another option. And so, I was there. And also the fire academy taught me a lot. I learned a lot in it. I learned discipline. I learned work ethic. I learned having respect for authority. I mean, there's just so many things in there that I learned in a very paramilitary environment where, the day of graduation, we couldn't even graduate till we had to do 600 push-ups in front of all our friends and family before we could even graduate, because that's how many push-ups as a class we had racked up. And there are so many things where it was so different than anything I had ever done before, but it was very necessary, I think, in order for me to be successful in business. I think that experience was very necessary.